Today we're going to review one of the newest and hardest to find allocated bourbons of the year. Today we're going to review Maker's Mark Cellar Aged. Is it worth the hunt and price? Let's find out. So a few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of going to the Kentucky Bourbon Festival with my lovely wife. Now, it was the first time I had been there and it was a blast. It was so much more fun than I expected. And I would highly recommend anyone wanting to try a bunch of whiskey and have a great time to attend. My wife and I are already discussing going next year. What makes this special? This is Maker's Mark Cellar Aged. Is a blend of 11 and 12 year Maker's Mark bourbon that is aged to taste and not time. This is the first time that they have aged their whiskeys over 10 years. They found a way to embrace both the unique impact of aging in their warehouse and then maturing in the cellar to create an older expression that is richer and more complex. All this while staying true to the founder's taste vision of bourbon without the bite. Now, to get this bottle, my wife and I went on some crazy adventure to procure this bottle. I will tell that story of our adventure at the end if you want to hear it. Now, as I've said before, I never wanted to be a review channel, but I have slowly done reviews on spirits that I've really enjoyed.
You like me. You really like me.
So I figured, if I'm going to do any reviews, I'm going to have to do it a little bit differently. How many times have you watched a review and heard how great that particular spirit is? And no, there is no chance of ever getting to try that nectar of the gods. I know I have, and I'm always a little disappointed. So I decided, if I'm going to do a review, then I'm also going to share. Why? Because sharing is caring. So stay tuned to find out how you could be a lucky winner and get a sample of the Maker's Mark Cellar Aged. That's right, I'll be giving away a few samples of this. This is the way.
This is the way.
If you're liking these videos, please subscribe, hit that like button, and click on that notification bell. Also in the comments below, help me name this new series of tasting and sharing. I want to start sharing more. Now, a little bit about this Maker's Mark Cellar Aged. But before, let's pop this open, pour a little bit, let it air out a little bit as we're going over the details. Ooh, nice little bottle pop. So, bottle details. This is distiller from Maker's Mark Distillery. Its mash bill is 70% corn, 60% wheat, 14% malted barley. On the side here, it talks about a special blend of aged barrels, 13% whiskey aged 11 years, and 87% whiskey aged 12 years. On the other side, it talks about Maker's Mark Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 750 mLs, 57.85 alcohol by volume, so it's 115.7 proof, which is also the highest proof they've ever had it at. If you look on the front here, you can see that there's Maker's Mark Cellar Aged limited edition, and you can see right there on the bottom that 2023, and it looks like a signature, but it feels like a little sticker that's on there, but I still like it. It's a nice touch. Now, this bottle is very different than their normal bottles. A lot of their bottles come in that short, like stocky one, and a few of them come in a little bit taller like this, especially like their Wood Age series, but it's not the same. This one has a different shape to it. I really like it. I really think it's a nice little detail for this special release. MSRP on this is $150. So let's get to tasting this Maker's Mark Cellar Aged. We're gonna be using the 1 to 10 scale on aroma, flavors, complexity, mouthfeel, finish, and of course, would I buy it again? Well, let's first look at how nice and dark this is. If you can see there, it's actually a rather dark one, especially for Maker's Mark. Now, looking at this and as you do it, you can see that there's nice legs on this, and it takes a while for them to even start running.
Got great legs for an old brewer.
Like there it is, now it's starting to run a little bit. So it's got some good viscosity on the glass, but let's go in for the nose. That does smell good. When you first smell it, you do get, it's 115 proof, so you do get that alcohol smell right up in front.
I smell alcohol.
But then you have to kind of let your nose adapt to it. Of course, you get that caramelized sugar, a little bit of the oakiness in there because it is a little bit more aged. But the interesting thing is you're kind of getting like a maple syrup or like a creme brulee or kind of a little bit of a waffle vanilla kind of smell to it. It has a lot of complexity to its smell. I'm really liking that. So for aroma, I'm actually gonna give that an 8 out of 10. There's a lot of complexity to it and I'm really enjoying it. Now, I do wanna state that I did get to try this when I was at the distillery and I had a small sample of it, but this was weeks back. And as you saw, I just opened this bottle, so I have not had a taste since. So let's go in for the initial taste. This is my first sip of the night, and the alcohol does hit you, but it coats pretty quickly. You get a lot of that, like a big sweet dark oak with vanilla. The sweet oak is what you taste. There is some spice to this, so you get a swirl spiciness kind of in that mid palate. For initial taste, it hit me kind of strong. It is my first drink of the night, so my palate has not been acclimated. So for that, I'm still gonna give it a pretty decent score of a 7 out of 10, but it was a little bit hot for the first taste. Now, let's go on to complexity. How does this evolve on the tongue? Second sip. Yeah, I needed that first sip. I need that first sip to actually coat my tongue, and the second sip so I can actually taste more. A lot more flavor with that second taste. I really did like it. Now, I taste that vanilla. I taste that caramel that I was smelling, and you still get that spiciness. It's
spicy.
It wasn't hit me as hard as the first one, but I still get like a baking kind of spice in the mid palate, and then it goes down to towards the back. It's interesting because I still taste like vanilla, almost like a vanilla sundae kind of thing with a little bit of caramel on it. Very nice, very complex. I do like it. I will give the complexity a 7 out of 10 as well. Now, time to go in for that mouthfeel. Now, the mouthfeel, I'm looking to see, okay, how does it sit on the tongue? What's the viscosity of it? How long does it last? And so for the third sip, we're gonna test that. Wow, I gotta admit, each taste tastes better. I taste more of the flavors. It is pretty thick.
That's what she said?
On the front and mid palate. Now on the back, I'm not getting a whole bunch there. On the front, I get that, you know, kind of that vanilla, and then I get that oaky, and then that spiciness towards the mid palate. It's very like velvety is a good way to say it. Viscosity is very velvet texture.
No, tell me. Velvet?
So it stays on the tongue, and I still have it. I still have it in the front, middle, nothing in the kind of the back of the tongue, but I can still taste it on my cheeks inside as well. So I do like that. I'm gonna give that a 7 out of 10 as well. Now, let's go for the finish. It's interesting because, I mean, after those first 3 sips, I still have it there, so it's still finishing, but let's go in for it and let's taste this again. And that taste now had more of a caramel, more of a caramel taste to it than even the first two, with that vanilla and then that spice. So keeps going through that same pattern. I really am liking it. Now the finish is decently long and complex with that caramelized kind of taste, some baking spices. I think I had seen somebody describe it as kind of a desserty flavor, and I can see that because that vanilla with the caramel kind of, you know, reminds me of like a sundae with that caramel on top of the vanilla ice cream. So I can see why they would say that. So overall, for the finish, I'm still tasting it. It's still there. It's still in the front. It's still in the mid, not on the back of the tongue, but I can now feel that Kentucky hug going down, and that's still there. So for finish, I'm gonna give that an 8. Would I buy again? So let's go into that last one. Would I buy again? Now, this bottle is $150 at MSRP, and I think it's worth every penny of that. I paid more money for other bottles that I've enjoyed less, and I think this is kind of a special release, and I really do like it. I'm not big of a Maker's Mark. I do like some of their products. I actually have a lot of their wood finish series, but I haven't even tried a lot of those. I need to go back and do that. But other than regular Maker's Mark, I'm not too crazy about. I really do like their 46, and that's a really good one. But this one is really standing out. I like this more than the other makers I've had. So is it worth MSRP at $150? Yes, worth every penny. Unless you go on some weird adventure or get lucky and have the right friends, it's extremely hard to find that MSRP. And if you look online, it's already going for like $600. Now, would I pay $600 for another bottle of this? No. $600 is a lot of dough, and I don't think $600 is worth it. So $250 to $300 max I would pay for this. If you could find it for that, I think it's a good deal. Of course, you have to decide, you know, what is it worth to you and what you're willing to pay. But for me, I think that would be my max out. I was so excited about reviewing this, I almost forgot to give a score of would I buy it again. Now I did mention I would buy it again, but because of how scarce it is and how hard it is to get, and because of the secondary price that most people are gonna end up having to get this at, my score for this is gonna be a little bit lower. Now, if you can get for MSRP, 9, 10 out of 10, right? But because you're gonna have difficulty getting this at MSRP, I'm gonna say for most, it's a 6 out of 10 if I would buy it again. Now that brings my total score to 43 out of 60. So overall, not a bad score.
Not bad.
Great bottle. If you can, grab one, but close to MSRP, as I said, not too much above $250, but I think it's a fun bottle to try and have. Now that you made it this far, let's talk about how you could win a sample. I will be giving out 5 1-ounce samples to lucky winners, and all you have to do is make sure you're subscribed and leave a comment on which of these bottles you'd like me to review next. Plus, share this video, please. I will randomly draw 5 contestants a week from today. Now, looking at all these bottles, you decide which one you want me to review, and of course, I'll be giving samples of these too. I'm actually thinking that with the cigar blend, I might actually do a blind with this with other cigar blends, and with this barrel gold, trying it against some of the other barrels and seeing is the gold worth the price. You let me know what you think. You let me know what you want me to review, and we'll get those going next. I also want your help. I want you to help me name this new series. I was thinking of review and share, but I know you guys can come up with a much more creative name. So please leave in the comments below if you have a great name for this new series. Thank you for joining me again on another journey down my bourbon rabbit hole, and good luck everyone, and cheers. The adventure. You stuck around this long just to hear the story how I procured this bottle? Well, let's get to it. So my wife and I went on a crazy adventure to procure our bottle. We had heard that if we went to the distillery at 4 a.m., we would have a chance of getting a ticket that would guarantee us a bottle. The trick was that our hotel was 1 hour away. So we woke up at 2:45 and yes, it looked like that. And we traveled to the distillery. It was dark with crazy small windy roads. The area had fog and it was like the start of one of those horror movies where you feel like if you broke down the side of the road, you might not make it out. As we got closer, we had not seen another car. So my wife started to have doubts and wondered, well, maybe they don't do this on Sunday because this was a Sunday morning we were going out there. But we were so close, I said, let's just get there and see what happens. So as we got within 2 miles, we finally saw another car and we thought, okay, well, that's a good sign. And we've continued following our GPS and we got to a closed gate. There's no other car there. But as I looked behind me, I saw that there was a small road and there was a line of cars all behind it. So finally we had hope that this was the real thing. So we turned around and I went and I parked behind all the cars and it was already close to 4 a.m. So we had no idea what would happen next. Did we have to wait till 9 a.m.? Did we have to get out of the car and walk? How many bottles would we be giving out? How many per car? How many people in all the cars in front of us? There's probably about 15 to 20 cars in front of us. Well, long story short, an employee showed up close to 5 a.m. He flashed us all and had us follow him in a line to the gates. They opened the gates and we all remained in our vehicles and they gave us a ticket and told us to return at 9 a.m. So that's what we did. We returned and procured our bottle.